Hey guys, this is Alex Serpentine back again with another video on my series about the dragons or obstacles from the Michael teachings. I'm making 7 different videos on the 7 different obstacles. And today, this video is about self-destruction. So all the obstacles are talked about in this book, and this is where I got most of the information on these slides. It's the book Transforming Your Dragons: How to Turn Fear Patterns into Personal Power by Jose Stevens. So this book is really great. It goes into great detail on each of the dragons or obstacles, and it shows you how to identify them in yourself and gives you ways to overcome them and understand them. It's a really great book. I'm super excited to talk about all these because I feel like it's super useful to understand these, because to overcome these dragons can greatly improve your life in huge ways. So I'm going to go into details that I got from this book, basic outline. But if you want to learn more, I would read this book. I highly recommend it. So the definition of the self-destruction dragon is the fear of losing control, or the belief that self-annihilation is the only escape. There's patterns of addiction, violence, and suicide. The people who have this will exhibit wild behavior or desperate self-sabotage. People with this may not live long because they cannot find meaning to life. They were abused and abandoned as children, as a common pattern. So this is actually my second obstacle or dragon that I have. My main one is arrogance. So if you watch the arrogance video, you'll see what I have to say about that in my experience. But I wasn't actually aware of this one so much at first. But I had Shepard Hoodwin channel my chart, my Michael chart, and then he later added on that I had the self-destruction dragon. And so my personal experience with this is you kind of get you can fall into a lack of structure and a lack of feeling like there's meaning in your life. So like you might face your day and feel like, oh, like there's like no structure or purpose to my life, and like what's the point of my life? Like why am I even alive? Like am I even in control of anything? Can I do things in my life and make a difference or move towards the things that I want and live the life that I want? It feels like I don't have any control. Like I can't make the changes that needed. And then you kind of fall into bad, like unhealthy patterns. So like for me, I was just like not eating well, like smoking stuff and like cigarettes and stuff, um vaping and all that, and I just wasn't taking good care of my body. And so I gained a lot of weight, and I just kind of had this feeling that I remember sometimes like I would go to bed and I would say like I hate my life, and I didn't know why I would say that. Like I would try to feel into it when overall I felt good about my life, but there's a part of me that felt like I wasn't fulfilled and that like my life lacked meaning, and I didn't necessarily have structure in my days where I felt like I was doing things that were meaningful. And I also had this feeling that I just wasn't in control of my life, that I couldn't make the changes uh, to really improve my life in the ways that I wanted to actually live a fulfilling life that I wanted to live. So you kind of just fall into these negative patterns that just take over, and it's just self sabotage. So it's just really difficult, and it can actually lead to early death, like it says here. Um, I had some friends do some like energy work on me, and they were saying that if I continued to live in the way I was living, that I would probably have an early exit. That I would not live a full life. And so that really kind of woke me up and said, "Oh shit, I got to do something about this and really figure out how to heal this self destruction pattern." So the big thing is like a fear of a loss of control, and then when you don't have control, then these negative patterns and habits start to take over. It can also manifest as like like what I noticed is like wanting to just sleep. Like it feels kind of better that just sleeping is more fulfilling than actually facing your day. So it's very painful pattern and very painful feeling where you just lack meaning. And I could feel it in my heart, um, just feeling that lack of meaning and purpose. And so it's something that I've kind of identified more recently, especially through reading this book. And so it's helping me become more aware of this pattern and learning how to approach this the right way. So that's my personal story about self destruction and how I understand it. So in the Michael teachings, there's a positive pole and a negative pole for each of the characteristics that are talked about in Michael teachings. The positive pole is the best manifestation of that pattern, and the negative pole is the worst manifestation. So the best version of self destruction is the positive pole is called sacrifice. It's the willingness to let go of something for a greater good or higher purpose. The negative pole is suicide, a destructive impulse that leads to self harm or the annihilation of one's potential. So this is actually a really difficult dragon because, like, one of the worst things that you could do is commit suicide. It's just the end of your life, Like, it's just not a great pattern, So it was really important to learn how to overcome this dragon. The external manifestation of self destruction manifests as recklessness, being daredevil like, dangerous, delinquent, frantic, rampaging, precarious, death defying, imprudent, wild, violent, foolhardy, hazardous, fatal, deadly, excessive, dejected, uncontrollable, self mutilating, ruined, addicted, controlled, or controlling. The internal manifestation is feeling out of control, hopeless, despairing, devastated, wretched, inconsolable, futile feeling, anguished, worthless feeling, and defeated. So in this book by Jose Stevens, there's 7 steps of development that happen in childhood, and so he outlines these 7 steps to show how these things develop. In step 1, the children are abandoned. So usually people take on self-destruction when their parents are just not present. They just leave them alone and don't really engage with them, and so they feel abandoned. Step 2, the abandonment results in a loss of structure. Step 3, emotional and physical abuse occur. Step 4, the children turn against themselves. The children fear loss of control. The children learn that gaining control is vital to survival. The children no longer value life. Death seems better. So actually, this is a really common pattern in my family. My mom and my dad and my sister all have self-destruction as well as me. So we've all struggled with this. But what I noticed for my parents is they didn't really have like a good attentive childhood like experience from their parents. Like their parents were just not around or not paying attention to them, and so they kind of had to feel like they had to learn how to take control of things for themselves. So both of them, my parents, had like a strong desire to be in control, and they're really disciplined. Like my dad was super disciplined when he was younger, throughout like most of his life, but at some point he kind of let that go, and kind of he started like drinking alcohol a lot. Um, and so that's kind of a manifestation of being so in control and then falling out of control. And that's a very common pattern with self-destruction is you go from being really in control and then you fall out of control. And then there's a kind of a feeling of like death seems better than life, that life lacks value or importance, and that can kind of take over sometimes. So those are the steps of development. And in the book, Jose Stevens' book, he has a section called belief and decision for each of these steps. So they're just like little quotes that kind of explain what the beliefs are that you take on at these steps. Step 1, I am all alone and the world is scary. I'm too small to fix this. Step 2, no one is in control. No one is in charge. There is no structure. I am abandoned. Step 3, my guardians are abusive and out of control. I am not in control because I can't stop them. The world is a hostile place. Step 4, I am bad. I should be punished. I'll punish the world too. Step 5, my parents are out of control. I am out of control. My life is threatened. I must be in control at all times. I must prove to myself that I have this control. I'll control the abuse. Step 7, death is better than life. I'll kill myself. See, that's where we're gonna end, is killing yourself or just self-sabotaging until you end up dying early. So those are the steps of development. So also in the book, Jose Stevens talks about the stages of maturity, which are basically the soul ages that are talked about in the Michael teachings, which are developmental stages that we go through in our reincarnational cycle as we have lives on Earth. So the earlier stages, there's not as much of a conscious awareness of these patterns. And as you progress to the later soul ages, you become more conscious of how these things are operating in you. So that's how they manifest differently. And you can watch one of my videos I made about the soul ages to learn more about these. These kind of align with the patterns and the focuses of each of the different soul ages. So the infant soul age, self-destruction, is criminal insanity, engaging in extreme and reckless behaviors with no regard for consequences. Baby soul age, wanting to get caught, gangs, seeking validation through risky affiliations, and almost inviting punishment. Young soul age stage, it's short life in the fast lane, indulging in high risk activities that lead to early burnout or demise. Mature soul age, suicide, feeling overwhelmed by despair. Old soul stage is self sabotage, undermining one's own success and well being through destructive patterns and decisions. So that's the stages of maturity. So here are some affirmations that Jose Stevens outlines in his book for the self-destruction dragon and how to overcome it. I am able to find value and meaning in life. The pain I've experienced helps me to help others. I choose to live no matter how hard life is. I have enough control to choose my actions wisely. I have enough strength of character to admit my limitations. I am powerful enough to ask for help. I have a wonderful support group of people who care about me. I am strong enough to let go of the need for control. I am able to be a friend to myself. I have the courage to live simply without high drama. I have learned to respect myself and others. So a big part of this self-destruction dragon is really respecting your body and taking care of yourself, and also coming up with goals that are reachable and creating a certain amount of structure that gives your life meaning and has you excited about facing your day and enjoying things. You don't want to overdo the control aspect, because that's the pattern that you get stuck in. Is sometimes you want to be so in control, you want to demonstrate it to yourself, and you have like big goals that are unreachable, and then you can fall into like trying to be so in control and then being out of control. So you have to have a balanced feeling of control, um, and not overdoing it. So that's some things there. Here's 7 weapons and how to slay the self-destruction dragon that Jose Stevens outlines in his book. Weapon 1, realize that life is sacred and has ultimate meaning. Admit you are out of control and ask for help. Admit that being in control is the big issue. Set your sights on realistic goals. Clean up the messes in your life. Admit and face your abuse of yourself and others. Admit and face the issue of abandonment. And here's 7 exercises that you can do to overcome the self-destruction dragon. Assess yourself. Make a list of your life goals. Make amends. Recall your abandonment. recall your abuse, gather a support team, and assist others. So really what you want to do is have really good goals that make you excited about life and feel and demonstrate to yourself that you can make good changes and that you are in control of your life, to but also not feeling that you have to be in control all the time. It's kind of softening that, and then finding some kind of balanced way of approaching life and moving towards things that give you purpose and meaning in life. And so it's good to have some goals, but not to be too hard on yourself or too controlling. And that's basically how you overcome these feelings of despair and hopelessness. And then you can live a fulfilling life and not end up killing yourself, which is the worst manifestation of this dragon. Um, so this dragon, actually, self-destruction is related to the greed obstacle. It's on the same axis, which is the expression axis. So you'll see some patterns between greed and self-destruction. There's a tendency to engage in drugs and negative experiences like that in both of them. So they're kind of linked together. But yeah, that's it for everything I wanted to say about the self-destruction dragon. And everything that I talked about in here is in this book, Transforming Your Dragons. Like I said, Jose Stevens. I super recommend reading it and learning which dragons you have. We usually have two. So read this book. Super important, and it can really change your life to really learn how to overcome these patterns and be aware of them. So that's it. I have a few more of these videos I'm going to do. There's going to be 7 of them in total, so you can check that out. If you like this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.